Hello and welcome back to Gone Solo Troika. I am, as always, your host and storyteller, Royce Rosewood, and we're getting back into it. We're having fun. So no bookkeeping things from last time. So in our last episode, our new characters, Dragogg and Goldbone, are on the hunt for a magic mushroom that will help them grow into a large size. And so they're heading to the ruins of Diaprise to find that. On the way, they ran into Pointage the dwarf, who was processing some complex feelings about his interaction with Magnaza, and that ended up going off to find Magnaza. So a little kind of intersecting path of some previous threads that we've had. They found an abandoned theater. On the way, Dragogg confronted Goldbone saying like, hey, this is your first job, right? Like you're new at this, and told her not to worry, and, kind of gave her some advice. They found the mushrooms, picked them, slept in the ruins, and when they woke up, surprising me as much as you probably, they woke up 200 years in the past in the heyday of Diaprise, and the city was bustling, and they found a lawyer named Tenote who had just failed to convince the wizard king of Diaprise named Grinshout that there was an imminent attack of robots from a distant sphere coming to destroy Diaprise, and Dragogg, because he knows his history, knew that that was happening. That is how Diaprise became the ruins that it is today, or at least in the present timeline. And he knows that the attack is about to happen imminently. So they don't know why they're here. They don't know how exactly they are in the past, but they have promised to help Tenote to convince Grinshout, or at least the people of Diaprise, to do something about this imminent attack. So we are going to get in and find out what happens. I was very brave to introduce time travel into this story, and here we are. We're on this train, so we just got to see where it goes. So let's find out. Let's go. So I guess a big question that sticks out to me is how or why is Tenote convinced that these robots are coming? What does she know? So let's start there. All right. So we got a science thing. So she obviously has access to like a lab or an observatory. Like, is there? Yeah, there's like an observatory in Diaprise. We've established it's a large bustling city. So Dragogg says, take us to the observatory and show us what you've seen, and perhaps we can come up with some sort of plan to convince someone to help us. So they're going to go to the observatory, and she's going to show Dragogg and Goldbone what she's seen, the evidence that she has. So that's going to be the scene setup. So we're going to roll for our event to see what comes to bear on that. So there's a player character issue or an inter-team issue again. Okay. So there's stars. Well, we know Dragogg, right? He's got astrology. This is kind of his thing. So maybe Dragogg knows this observatory from history. Maybe it hasn't really been replicated since. So Dragogg gets to kind of geek out a little bit about getting to see this historical famous observatory that's been lost to time. He gets to see it in real time. So as they get close, sticking out above the buildings, and the giant lens, and he just has this moment. He just has this starstruck moment, like, oh, never did I think that I would get to see the great observatory of Diaprise with my own eyes. This is truly a wondrous moment. And Tenote says, you know it? From your time, from the future? Dragogg says, yes. It's quite famous, and it has never been replicated since. For all its majesty and wonder and advancement, Troika has yet to replicate something like this. It's truly a wondrous display of science and magic. I assume everything is magical a little bit. And they get in, and there is, another astrologer there. Yeah. What's the personality of this astrologer? Sort of the one who runs it and has been helping Tenote. 151, a distressed astrologer. Well, of course they're distressed. They can see these robots coming. And what is the name of this distressed astrologer? We've got Rain and we've got Crying. Rain, Cry, just Rye. Rye, the distressed astrologer. Maybe he's, wearing robes. Maybe there's like a specific garb that the astrologers wear. And he comes running out of the observatory. He goes to Tenote and says, Tenote, were you able to convince the king that it's coming? Is he going to help? And Tenote says, no, he wouldn't listen to reason. I did what I could, but there's nothing. There's nothing we can do. And Raya goes, oh, no. Oh, how could this happen? This is the worst possible thing that could happen. Our destruction is imminent, and we've done nothing, and no one believes us, and we can't get help. And Tenote says, well, I did find a little bit of help. Let's go inside and let's talk. And so they go into the observatory, and there's a large platform on which the telescope is set, and there's gears and there's orreries everywhere, and there's papers everywhere and equipment and magical bubbling things, because they use all the tools at their disposal to make sense of the stars and the spheres. And they put on a pot of tea, and they gather around a table, and they're drinking the tea, and Tenote is explaining to Rai, so I've met these two, and they claim that they are from the future. They're from 200 years in the future, and they know of the destruction of Diaprise. And they don't know how they've gotten here into the past, but they're here, and they want to help, and they want to try to prevent this catastrophe from happening. And Rai is got his teacup and is very, very uncomfortable, still very distressed. And it's like, I've never heard of anything like this in all my calculations and all my explorations of the stars. I've never come across this. This is something to note, but we are at our last wits. No one believes us. No one can heed our advice. So I don't see what choice we have but to believe and help and accept this help from these people. So Dragogg says, show me what you've seen, and perhaps I might be able to help. Rai sets up the telescope. I don't know how they're able to see things at the day. It's magic. It's magic. It's a magic observatory that can see stars and spheres during the day. But it's a very faint, small object, Rai says. It's growing, and based on the direction it's coming from, we know from our explorers who've been out into the spheres, they're coming from the machine sphere called, got pizza and some falling rocks, Pizak. We can tell from where they're coming, and our explorers who have been to this region say to avoid it. There are dangerous machines that that just attack and destroy anything they come in contact with. So we know that this is where it's coming from, and this object we've been tracking, it's getting larger. And so what is the inevitable conclusion but to say the machines are coming, and they're coming straight for us. We've charted their trajectory. And Dragogg says, well, I see the conclusion that you've been able to reach, and I am also convinced. But we need stronger evidence than this. And I, being from the future, have some slightly different astrological methods that I may be able to employ to help clarify this picture and get a clearer picture. So is he able to help them out? Yes. So using his knowledge that he's been able to acquire and methods that may not be available in the past, Dragogg is able to adjust the instruments and tune the spells and brew the potions. You know, why you need potions to run well, obviously it's magic. It's a magic telescope. All the things that he knows how to do, and he brings it to bear, and he gets a very, very clear picture. And they can tell now that is very much a fleet of machine ships heading directly toward. Very clear picture, very deliberate evidence. Based on their best calculations, how many days do they have before the robot machines arrive? I'm going to roll on a D3. They have 3 days. Okay, so they have some time to come up with some more plans, but they're still not going to dally. So, all right. So they've got that, and now all they need to do is get back and convince someone. Are they going to go back to Grinshout? I mean, I think they might have to. I mean, that's going to be the easiest way to get all the help possible. Sort of like a grassroots campaign. They probably don't have time for something like that. Tenote has already been, seen today. She's probably not going to be able to get back in. She's made her case, and was rejected. So, Goldbone. Here's what Goldbone is going to do. The plan is Goldbone has disguise here. Is going to disguise herself as a foreign dignitary visiting, and she's going to disguise. She doesn't need to disguise Dragogg, but she'll disguise the others, Rye and Tenote, as her retinue, and they'll pose as visiting dignitaries from some reasonably distant other city who have come, who are concerned about this thing, and try to get entrance that way. That's going to be our scene setup. So that's what they're going to try to do. So we're going to roll on our event to see what comes to bear, if anything. We've rolled a book enemy. Interesting. So which one do we get? 62. That is a tiger. It is common knowledge that all tigers come from the Palace of Tigers. You may see one in a jungle somewhere and think they are at home. Maybe they're even raising kittens and leading rich, full tiger lives, but they are as alien to that forest as you or I, and the kittens are invariably stolen from lesser cats. They were born to leisure, to stalk fat little coati in palatial gardens, and to bask in crystal solariums. Take pity on these angry animals, for they are lost and not used to your rude ways. I think what this means is, because it's describing tigers as being in the jungle, but coming from the Palace of Tigers. So what I think this means is, at Grinshout's palace, castle, he keeps a number of these tigers who serve as decoration, but also as sort of the guard. Not a normal guard that we will have to convince to get in, but instead a austere, gracious tiger who is lounging nearby in front of the gates. So we'll say there's 2, one on either side. And what is their current mood or mien? They are tired. Okay. So there's a large causeway that comes up to the gate, and there's an archway, and there's a tiger seated on either side. And, they have sort of like this miniature garden. So there's a grassy area with, plants, and they have little toys and things. And this is where they lounge and decide who gets to come into the palace or not. And but it's getting towards the end of the day. They've already seen a lot of guests, and they are just worn out. These tigers. Goldbone is pretending to be a visiting dignitary from Cloudbean, which is a nearby place, we'll say. Goldbone goes up and, she's got her disguise dressed in the ceremonial garb of the Cloudbeanians. And she's dressed the others similarly. And she goes up in her best impression and with summoning all of her courage and confidence. She says, I am from Cloudbean, and I and my retinue request audience of the great and powerful Grinchout on a matter of urgent and most distressing import. Has the disguises worked? We need to roll under 6. 7. We're gonna burn a luck to re-roll. Let's see. Nope. It's not gonna happen. So the tigers kind of lull up and they sniff. And they prowl out from their little gardens, and they circle the 4 of them. They sniff. And they say, "Can tigers speak?" It's not clear. Let's ask our oracle. No, absolutely not. The tigers do not speak. Okay. So they just shake their heads and growl. And the gate remains closed. This is not going to work. And they're not going to push their luck with these tigers. They are very tough. And, 2 of their member at least are not very good fighters. So they're going to have to come up with some sort of other plan. I think, looking at what else we have, that night, Goldbone is going to try to sneak into the palace. She has sneak, she has climb. She's an assassin. She can sneak into places. She's not trying to kill anyone. She's trying to get them to see reason. And she does have these poisons. So I think her plan is now, under the cover of night, to sneak into the palace and be like, in the night, be like, tomorrow you better go to the observatory or else, I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill you, kind of thing. Our poor apprentice has to bear so much. Well, we're going to try. We've got 3 days, so let's see how she does. So that's the scene, that's the setup, what she's going to try to do at night. Let's see what event comes to bear on our thing. We're going to roll on our thread table. It's going to get weird. So I rolled Dragogg's goal, right? So I put these like placeholder threads. So what is Dragogg's goal? He's obviously been very impressed by the ancient observatory. I say ancient, but it's historical. So on our strike cubes, what's Dragogg's goal? What's he trying to do? So we rolled Olympus. In all his calculations and all his math and all his discovery and charting, he is trying to find the sphere of the gods. And this has put him opposed to other mathemologists and astrologists in his field who find this to be uninteresting or unimportant or heretical or whatever, which is why he's forced to seek this sort of adventuring freelance work, because he's not accepted into the other academies or whatever because of this search. But he believes, now that he's been here and from what he's heard, that there is going to be some sort of scroll or book or lost. There's a lost library that was in the palace of Diaprise. And if he can get into it, he'll get evidence for his hunt, his search for the sphere of the gods. Okay, so he wants to go with Goldbone and sneak into the palace as well. So, our thread is Dragogg seeks the sphere of the gods. And he believes there will be information in the palace that was lost to time, that will help him in his search. So very good for him that he is back in time. Very fun. Great. So, well, now Goldbone's got to sneak them both in. So, so they go. They wait for cover of night, and they go. And there's large walls up all around the palace. The tigers are sleeping. The gates are shut. Everyone is asleep. We assume, at least on the outside. And Goldbone is going to try to climb up. Oh, they're going to need some sort of rope. Let's say she was able to acquire just like a basic rope during the day. That seems reasonable for, whatever, a piece of silver. It's a city. Presumably they were able to find some rope. Great. So she is going to try to climb up the wall. A 6. Great. That's what she needed to roll. Okay, good. All right. So she's got her black clothes on. She's in full assassin mode. She climbs up the wall. She lets down the rope and is able to pull Dragogg up, and they go up over the wall. Now, is there a tiger patrol on the inside? Yes. Absolutely yes. Oh no. So they come down, boom, and they turn and they're like, all right, we're in. And they turn around and there's a tiger just right there staring at them. Is it the same tiger from before? Yes. Okay. So this tiger absolutely recognizes them from before. What's its mean? 5. A steer. So the tiger, we've established tigers don't speak. At least not in our version of Troika, as we fill in the gaps. But it's growling and very reserved and regal. Like, why are you even here? How is this even possible that you could have come into my company? So I think what Goldbone is going to do is she's going to use one of her vials of poison, the one that makes people go unconscious, and she's going to dribble it onto a provision and give the provision to the tiger and hope the tiger eats it and falls asleep. We'll test the tiger's skill. We'll roll under skill to see if the tiger detects the deception. It sure does. Let's roll in our luck. Try again. Nope. Okay. Goldbone, takes a vial of poison, dribbles it on a provision, and presents it. Regally, it's like, oh, Grand Tiger, please accept this humble offering of food. The tiger sniffs it. No, it's not happening. Oh boy, they're gonna have to fight this tiger. Okay, well, here we go. All right, we will put Dragogg on green, and for 2 cubes, we'll put Goldbone on yellow. Gold, that'll make more sense. Right, we will put the tiger on white. We put our enemies on white. 2 cubes. 2 cubes each for everyone. And the black end of round cube. And of course our matching colored dice. All right. Who's up first? Dragogg. Well, as much as Dragogg is not into fighting, he knows when he has to do his thing. So he is going to roll. He's got +6. The tiger's got +8. 6 + 7 is 13. 8 + 4 is 12. Oh, he's able to get a hit. All right. He's going to test his luck to do +2 damage. Oh, great. Okay. So he gets +2 on his damage roll. 4. So that's 8. The tiger takes 8 damage, has 4 stamina remaining. So Dragogg takes out his astrolabe and just runs up and just wails on the tiger, just smacks it across the head, and the tiger, and even Goldbone is like, oh wow, impressive. Who's up next? All right, it's the tiger's turn. Oh, the tiger did not like that, and Dragogg is right there. So it's going to take a swipe back. All right, it rolled a 4. That's good. That's low. Dragogg just has to roll higher. So 12, they're at tied. He's going to spend another luck to break that tie, to get in another hit. All right, so the tiger swipes again. But Dragogg is there. He's able to get in a hit with his astrolabe. He rolls a 6 for damage, another 8 damage. Oh, he just takes out that tiger. And he just knocks it out. And it sprawls. I don't think he wanted to kill it, so I think he just knocks it unconscious. It is incapacitated, and they're able to get past this tiger. So with 2 quick swipes with his astrolabe, Dragogg takes care of the tiger. And he kind of looks back at Goldbone and says, again, I'm not the one who's supposed to be fighting. That's you. And Goldbone says, well, I can't help it if my cubes don't come up. She doesn't say that. We don't break the wall. She says, I mean, it seems like you've got things under control. Seems like, you've got what you need. Anyway, they're past the tiger. So now they need to sneak through the palace without being detected. Nope. They are not sneaky. We're gonna test luck. Nope. Is it more tigers? No, absolutely not. It's something totally different. Are they just like regular guards? Yeah. So like the tigers are sort of like the first line of defense, and as they get closer, then he's got, regular guards, soldiers. We did establish a soldier in the previous episode, so making their way, they're trying to sneak past, and Goldbone's trying to guide Dragogg, and they're trying to move sneakily, but soldiers see them and say, "Hey, you there, intruders! After them!" And so they're running. Do they even know where they're going? Probably not. Are they able to at least run? Let's give the guards like a skill of 6 and see if they're able to outrun them. Okay, so, oh no, that's bad. That's a fumble. Yeah, okay, so, they are not able to, they're running through, but then the soldiers they're just faster. They just run, and Goldbone actually trips and falls, and Dragogg, is running behind her and goes over, and they just tumble and tumble. And the soldiers, capture them and tie them up. The soldier's like, tell me one good reason why I shouldn't just kill you right now, here on sight. And Dragogg says, well, that is not the way. We are entitled to a trial and an audience before the wise and powerful Grimshout. And the soldier kind of sneers. Yeah, you're right. Well, don't test your luck. You've been trespassing. I don't think Grimshout's gonna see your case. Look at you, an assassin, probably here to kill him. There's no way. Okay, so they spend the night in the palace jail. In the morning, they are, shackled and chained and taken to the court, where Grimshout is going to dispense his judgment, probably execute them to death. But they're taken into the lavish court, and this is the first case or issue of the day. This is quite urgent, right? Assassins and a mathemologist, strangely, in the palace, but an assassin that definitely sends like a very specific signal. So they're taking him to the court, and they're taken before Grimshout. And now I have a very interesting question. Something that I've been thinking about and wondering, why are we in the past? What does this have to do with, the other story that we've been telling? My question is, do they recognize Grimshout? No, absolutely not. Anyway, it doesn't matter what I was thinking. It's not true. They do not recognize Grimshout. Grimshout says, you are charged with breaking into the palace, incapacitating one of my beloved and precious tigers, attempting to assassinate me. Do you have a good lawyer? And Goldbone and Dragogg look at each other and they say, when Dragogg says, yes, we do. We would like to be represented by Tenote. All right. So we will stop there for tonight. Woo-wee. Okay, so we are in the past. We are, trying and failing all these ways to get this Wizard King to see reason, and it's not happening. And I don't know why we're in the past. I don't know what's going to connect, but we will get there. We will find it out. So thanks so much for sticking around, and we will find out what happens next time. Please like, subscribe, and share with a friend if you're enjoying this. This is Science Fantasy Awesome, but you're awesome.